Well, welcome back. Once again, human anatomy is flowing along pretty good, and we're in chapter 16 already, and we're in the lymphatic system. I want to, what I want to do on this, I want to give an overview of the lymphatic system, and then I'm going to, I don't want you to spend a lot of time taking notes as much as I want you to spend time just kind of understanding what we're saying. So I'm going to teach this one slightly different, not major different. I'm going to go through a bunch of things on the lymphatic system that are important, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of a break on this, and then I'm going to go over. Then I'm just going to give you a test review. So if you will just kind of pay attention, I wouldn't write down all the notes. Sometimes you go into class and the teacher starts talking about something and you're writing down all the notes. It's kind of nice to know which part. I want you to pay attention because the stuff that I'm going to talk about is really important that you need to know to understand the lymphatic system. I felt like even on the heart that maybe it was so much hit or miss that maybe I need to do an overview a little bit, give you some basic information, make sure we kind of have an understanding part, and then I'm going to jump over into the part that's going to be on your test. Now, that being said, I'm going to show you right away on page 617, we do have a diagram. We start out with the lymphatic system, and this diagram, okay, and those of you that, this diagram right here, okay, shows the heart, the arteries, the veins, and then how the lymphatic system comes off of that. That diagram will be on your test, and you'll have to identify that. What we've got on that, and this is where we want to start, okay? This is where we want to start. So we have all these things circulating through our, check with my camera lady here, everything okay there? Okay. We have the heart circulating blood, and the blood itself, as the heart pumps the blood and it circulates the blood, it's really a neat deal because what we're circulating white blood cells, we're fighting disease, we're doing all these different things. But there's another defense system in our immune system that's circulating throughout our body, okay? And that, of course, is the lymphatic system. Now, this lymphatic system, if we look at this diagram on page 617, and once again now, and I need to probably, it's Hull's Human Anatomy, 13th edition. We'll try to put this diagram on your deal. It's gotten to where, and some people have contacted me that don't have the 13th edition. It makes it pretty tough. You can get this 13th edition now on Amazon, or just go on the computer and get it for $20 or less, because I think we talked about this a little bit before. This is kind of interesting because I think there's like a 15th edition or something. But even as we go through the years, we're finding that certain things, and I'll go in and there'll be some things that are changed in the new edition, and we'll actually really go into detail on those things. But for the most part, Human Anatomy, this 13th edition is the same as the new edition, and without many changes at all. But the difference is just simply the cost of the book. So we can go in and we can buy this past edition, this Hull's Human Anatomy 13th edition, for about $20 or so on Amazon. So if you're having trouble and you've got a different edition, especially if you've got an earlier edition, you can get on Amazon and go buy one of these, and it really matches it up pretty nice. But if not, this is the diagram that shows how the lymphatic system ties in with the cardiovascular system. So looking at page 617, so I want you to have your book with you as we're going through this. We're going to walk through a lot of things. So let's look at page 617. So here's what's interesting. Now I want you to watch these arrows, okay? This is amazing. This is amazing, okay? So let's look at the pulmonary capillary network, all right? So this is the network where it's not even connected to the lymphatic system. Okay, everybody see that on page 617. We've got the pulmonary capillary network on the top where the blood is switched over from the oxygenated blood to the deoxygenated blood, the arteries, the veins. And then when we look at that, we see the lymphatic capillaries that are right next to that. It's amazing. It's amazing. So So we actually, the circulatory system of the lymph nodes, which you can see in green there, is basically, it's kind of almost like a Wi-Fi network. It's attached, but it's not hooked up to it. I mean, the best case scenario would be it's like a Wi-Fi network. It's like an antenna, it's picked up. Well, these capillaries can transfer stuff back and forth. So when we look at the bottom and we look at the systemic capillary network, it's the same thing. And look at the arrow where it shows, and then it goes through. It shows where the lymph flows up through. It goes through these lymph nodes, and then it goes through. But look at what it does. Look at what it does. Okay, this is what's critical. Okay, the lymphatic capillaries on the top and the bottom are located throughout the body, and then we have lymph nodes. Now we'll talk about it later, but there's more than 100 lymph nodes. We'll talk about numbers and different things here as we go. But there's lymph nodes. So you have lymph nodes. You have lymph nodes in your throat. So whenever you feel like you're getting sick, you feel that sometimes there's a knot right there. You have lymph nodes all throughout your back. You have lymph nodes under your armpits. You have lymph nodes by your right by your hips. The lymph nodes are throughout your body. What do the lymph nodes do? The lymph nodes come in there and they help to transport what's called the lymph fluid. Okay, the lymph fluid in the lymphatic system is your immune system that goes through, and it's not white blood cells, it's lymphatic fluid that goes through and actually fights out. It actually fights the infection. It works to remove anything in our body, foreign particles that are a problem. It works like an antigen, goes in and destroys those. So it's kind of interesting. So not only do you have your blood flowing through the body, you have this lymph. Okay. So this lymphatic system is moving this clear liquid all the way through your body, but it is fighting disease. Now, I have a really good friend. Who has been diagnosed as having lymph node cancer, and that's really interesting because in his back the cancer got in the lymph nodes. Well, what's the problem with lymph nodes? And whenever somebody gets really sick, the lymph nodes are fighting off disease, okay? So when somebody has cancer, it's really a big deal if we say that cancer spreads to a lymph node. Why is that a big deal? It's a big deal because then that lymph node is circulating that lymph fluid throughout the entire body. And all these little lymph nodes, wherever they're at, are dispersing this lymph fluid to try to go out and fight disease throughout the whole body. Well, the problem is whenever something spreads to a lymph node, that's a problem, because then it's no longer in that area. That lymph node then is circulating that lymph fluid throughout the whole body. Now, is it trying to fight the cancer? Yes. Is it trying to fight, leukemia or whatever disease it has? Yes, it's trying to fight it. But the problem is that because that lymph node spreads that lymph throughout the whole body, we run the risk of spreading those cells all over the body to every organ of the body that the lymph node protects. So we got to see that as this goes, and in this diagram, you see the arrows starting out in the capillaries, and they pull the lymph. They go throughout the body. The lymph nodes pushes this through, all right, and it goes in. But where does it go? Well, it goes into that blue area there, which is what? Which is the vein, okay? So it actually goes back into the veins, and it's able to pull out the material. The veins go through. We'll talk a little bit later about how we filter that lymph fluid out and get out those foreign particles that have been pulled out of the body. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So not only do we have the bloodstream and the white blood cells, but we have the lymphatic system as part of our immune system to fight off disease and foreign particles in the body. Now, I mentioned my friend that had cancer that went into the lymph nodes. They had to remove 12 lymph nodes in his back, and so they just had to dig down totally and pull those off, and sew off that separate these lymph nodes. So it's kind of interesting because they pulled those out because they were full of they actually had the cancer cells, so they stopped the lymph from traveling. So can you live without the lymphatic fluid? And the answer is yes. But what's the problem is then that's one more part of your immune system that you don't have. So it's kind of tricky and he seems to be doing really good right now. But once again, we have to really watch when something moves to a lymph node, because right away you need to know that a lymph node moves throughout the entire body. So let's look at this a little bit. We talk about the lymphatic capillaries. Now, I want you to go to page 618, and I want you to look at these capillaries. Now, I want you to see how they are. It says lymphatic capillaries are microscopic, okay, closed-in tubules that originate in the interstitial spaces of most tissues. So I want you to see where these lymph nodes, it's kind of interesting, are actually capillaries, small tubes that are closed, but they actually absorb, they actually go in and absorb and pull the disease organisms out. So that's really amazing. That's really amazing. So let's look at page 619, and let's look all of the green dots on there. Let's look at that. That's where the lymph nodes are. So right there, you see the lymph nodes in the neck. You see the lymph nodes all the way throughout the side of the face. You see the lymph nodes down through your body and your back. And you see all of those lymph nodes. And then you see the green lines. Those are the lymphatic vessels that carry this lymph fluid. So once again, it's kind of interesting. We look there on 619. We look at a female there, and it actually shows these lymphatic vessels and all the lymph nodes. You have tons of lymph nodes throughout your chest area here. It's extremely interesting in a female, because their lymphatic nodes are all the way through. Why is that? Because we're trying to protect those mammillary glands that produce milk for that baby too. So, but look at what they're all tied into. Once again, we look and we see there's a right internal jugular vein. So here's this big vein that runs across here, and that lymph node is taking all of this disease and all this stuff and is putting it into the veins. So then that vein will carry, what does that vein do? Does it carry the blood to the rest of the body? No, it carries it back to the heart, and we're going to show how it filters out all of the stuff that's in there. So once again, we're beginning to see the lymphatic system as a whole combination of, it's a fluid that runs through the body that pulls out disease and pulls out foreign particles throughout the body. So I want to show you one more thing here before we get too far. I want to go to page 627, and I want to talk to you about there's different ways that we kill organisms. There's one called phagocytosis. Cytosis means to eat and dissolve. So what happens is, in phagocytosis, we literally have an organism here, and this lymphatic fluid is actually able to engulf it and actually able to dissolve it and pull it out. So we have phagocytosis that happens, okay? And so that's probably the best way to do that. And then we have antigens that form that show us that show us where these organisms are at. Now, I want to go one step further here. We're just about ready to take a break on this one, but we're going to see a really big thing here on page 631. We're going to talk about T cells and B cells. Now, I talked to you about this. This edition of Whole Human Anatomy being fairly updated, and even the 15th edition that's out now is not much different. This is a big reason why we like this edition, because it includes the new study here. Okay, so when we look at this picture, I have T cells and B cells activating, okay? All right, so when we look at this, what is a T cell and what is a B cell? The T cells and the B cells actually go in, and the B cells have three little gills along the side that act like Velcro that go in and pull out bad organisms. So isn't that amazing? And once it's full, once that B cell is full of bad organisms, then we take that B cell out and we phagocyze, we eat that whole B cell up and dissolve it and send it back into the body. So we just started a little bit talking about the lymphatic system. We're going to stop with this tape and pick up with the next one. So I'll see you for the next video.